eVTOL Weekly, episode 20. My name's Liam, one of the Hustle Brothers here, and we've got a familiar face back.
Yeah,
Reece, how we getting on, brother?
The long-lost Hustle Brother is back. I want to say a big thank you for Dylan. He was out here stealing my job. He's done an absolute brilliant job whilst I've been away. Obviously, a big shout out to Chris as well. You guys have been killing it with the streams lately and keeping us up to date on all of our Rocket Lab news. And yeah, you and Dylan have been absolutely smashing it. I've been worried. I've been getting a run for my money.
Thank you, mate. Do you know what? Dylan is absolutely amazing. Love having him here as a Hustle Brother. I can't believe how far it's come in the last year. Started off me and you chatting about ACHR and Joby. Now we have 4 of us streaming on the channel.
That's it, yeah.
Mate, can't believe it. We're here for eVTOL Weekly, but guys, for any of you that missed it, we have started a new podcast as well called eVTOL Fan Club. We had a great guest last week, Mike Berry. If you haven't seen it, he's a private pilot and an aerospace engineer. Absolutely amazing. Do you know what? Yeah. We think we know a lot about the eVTOL space, but when you get talking to the likes of a pilot and an aerospace engineer, it makes you feel very, very uneducated, shall I say.
It is. Yeah, I was literally, when I was listening to that one, it's so impressive how somebody can just know so much information and like sort of just eradicate any of the queries that we had, and like the explanation when he was talking about the difference between obviously ACHR and Joby's model and how maybe HOVR have a pretty slick model, and that seems like it could be the best on the field, sort of similar to what we had in our podcast with Brandon Williams. And I think at the moment you can just see the channel, the way it's developing. We're getting a lot of good, great guests, and they're giving us an awful lot of insight. And yeah, I've been really enjoying it since I've been on my hiatus.
No, do you know what? It's like you've been on a pilgrimage, mate. You're back. You're here. Couldn't wait to have you back. And no, we're going to have a little bit of fun today. Right. Today, we've a lot to talk about. We'll jump into share prices. We have a good bit of news on ACHR, a bit of news on Joby. We have Vertical. We'll touch on HOVR's partnership. But I think there's nowhere, I don't want to say better. The word better is not a word that should be associated with this. No one should benefit, I said, in the Rocket Lab space. But we're going to talk about the conflict between Israel and Iran and how it's going to affect the eVTOL space, how it's going to affect not just the rollout in the US if the US get involved, but even if the US don't get involved, how it's going to affect the rollout in the Middle East. Is there going to be a big effect there? They're talking about Iran blocking up some water, so oil prices will go through the roof. Reece, I know me and you are not about politics, and I think we're the worst people to talk about politics when it comes to US, because I don't keep up with the Irish politics, mate. You keep up with the UK politics?
No. I'm not really a backer of either side, to be honest. I think they're both crooks, no matter which avenue you go down. But yeah, I don't think war's ever good. And it always has this sort of knock-on effect of uncertainty and fear in the market. And I don't think this time will be any different. Obviously, the main concern now is the threat of the nuclear war, but that would ruin the entire world. And I don't think we'd even be worrying about eVTOLs at that point. So I think I kind of keep on the optimistic side and hope that they do come to some sort of resolution, because a lot of harmless, innocent people are going to be harmed, and you just hope that they would come to some sort of resolution without it having to be in bloodshed. But I guess we're going to be speaking more in terms of the eVTOLs. In terms of funding, will the US have the money to keep funding the eVTOLs? Obviously, we had the order from Donald Trump regarding the drones. And is this just the first of many orders that are coming out because they believe in the eVTOLs, or are they going more for a defense-minded approach and starting to design this technology in order for defense looking forward? What do you think about it?
Yeah, it's one of those. The executive order came out. We know that the likes of US intelligence get information before it's even shared to the public. It kind of makes me think, did the executive order come out at the right time that they could mean that they're going to expand and help the likes of the military side? So look, again, I don't like to use the word benefit, but the likes of ACHR and Anduril getting through the hybrid VTOL, it just, if that war escalates and it goes on longer than a week, 2 weeks, a month before it gets resolved, do the US try to get the priorities right by finishing the war rather than pumping this money into the next generation transportation? And that's what worries me. Will all hands be on deck to get this war finished? It's a weird time in the market. It's a weird one because I feel like the markets aren't reacting that much to it. I think it's sort of priced in that the US would finish Iran very, very quickly. And guys,
Yeah.
I don't want people to jump on me here. Look, I am no specialist when it comes to wars or anything like that. But if you would put your money on it, you would have expected Russia to finish Ukraine very, very quickly, and you wouldn't have thought that would go on 2-3 years. And the US were in the likes of Iraq, Afghanistan. I'd just be very careful believing that it would be over within a week. I don't think the US need to go in. I don't want them to go in. They don't need to show their power. We all know they're the most powerful state. So just...
the one thing that does stick out in my mind from our interview with Brandon Robinson from the New Horizon aircraft, and he was discussing about how eVTOLs would be cheaper to run than helicopters. And I don't know, maybe for the defense side of things, and it's sort of linked, but maybe they are looking in a 5-year span that in the long run, these will be significantly cheaper to run than a helicopter, obviously with the range as well. And the fact that, remember, he was mentioning about if it was hovering in one place, it would be easier to do than a helicopter that uses so much energy to try and stick in that one place. So like with cargo missions, or if they're picking up casualties, that obviously would be a massive benefit if they did have that hybrid on the battlefield, or even just like going from place to place inside the US.
Yeah, and like, let me bring it up here. Speaking about Horizon, like, ever since we done that interview with Brandon, it just seems to be accelerating further and further up. There's nothing to do with us. Don't make me.
That's the Hustle Brothers.
The Hustle Brothers moved it.
We really should have got that commission signed in.
Look, again, in the last 5 days, up 70%. The last month, up 234%. In the last 6 months, up 280%. Reece, why didn't we just sell everything, put it in HOVR at that time, and away we went? But no, I'm happy. I'm very happy for them. Does make me gutted I didn't double down with my gut instinct of how much I believed in Brandon. but it did worry me a little bit how much it would have taken and how much of a market cap they had. They were under the $1.
Yeah, it's the volatility, isn't it?
And we did say, guys, at the time, you were guaranteed a roller coaster. It was either going to collapse or it was going to run exponentially. And I'm happy for you guys. It did run exponentially. I'm not going to make up that I jumped in and I have now become a millionaire, because no, I did not. We're honest guys here. Do you know what, Reece? It does kill me a little bit that I didn't.
It's
Do you
always
know
that
what?
thing,
It
isn't
feels
it?
like sometimes we
I'm just
overanalyze things.
That's it. Yeah, you always just got, why did I not buy more? But like, I've never lost money and went, why did I not put more in? Like, it's just one of those. It's the glass half full, glass half empty. I mean, just look at it. Unfortunately, not this time. But I do like their business model of obviously producing and then selling straight to the supplier and then not running it themselves. I think that's a very interesting business model, and it seems to probably streamline down the process of actually getting to commercialization. So yeah, they're definitely a one to watch, and we'll definitely be covering them here.
Yeah, and guys, do let me know. Do you prefer HOVR's model where they're more or less producing the aircraft and they don't have to worry about infrastructure or anything? They're not operating them. They don't have to worry about vertiports or any of that, creating apps and worrying about the actual FAA regulations on
how to fly it and where they can fly it.
Like, what does worry me sometimes is, look, I have no doubt they will pass certification part, but then they need like an operating license, and I don't think they won't get the operating license, but it's how quick they're able to get this license to operate in highly dense populated areas. Like, we do have a very fine timeline before the Olympics. It does worry me slightly, but I want to jump straight to the comments here because
they are fine.
They're starting to fly, aren't they? So we have Dylan Rogers. Hey, got stuck in the rain and driving, so won't be able to add much to the chat, but hope all had a great day and have a great chat today. Do you know what, Dylan? We do miss you here. I know we were talking about maybe doing a later stream, but with respect to Reece and Rocket Lab Daily, I couldn't clash the two at the same time. There's no replacing Reece. There's only one Reece Hustle, brother.
The old bag. This would be an interesting turn of events.
Bag has HOVR. When did you jump in, brother? I actually, do you know what? Because I stream every day now, I do find it hard to remember some of my live streams from a few weeks ago. So when did you jump in? Did you tell us at the time? Josh Brown, CNBC, spoke about opening positions in both Joby and ACHR. It's only the start. I genuinely reckon
that order as well, I think, has brought some light that they're sort of getting that seal of approval now from the government, and that there's actually sort of a push now to start training the pilots up, and maybe there might be a bit of a lean on the FAA to sort of get this regulation process streamlined and over the line, and especially because of that LA Olympics. And I do think they want to be showcasing that to show America's strength and obviously the drive with technology at the moment.
Scott, just imagine how much, if they do pull it off, just imagine how much people will be thinking about opening positions in ACHR and Joby when they see them flying at the Olympics. I just want to put that thought out there because, do you know what? We had a guest on yesterday on Rocket Lab Daily, and he gave a very big spin on what would happen if they detected life on the Venus mission and what that would do for Rocket Lab, and it actually just made me like explode. So it did make me think that the amount of people that think of opening positions, if they do pull off the Olympics, I think it'll be immense. Hook them, you actually seem to be here every single stream, mate. Thank you so much for the support. But today, hello guys. Will you give us a Paris Air Show eVTOLs overview? Do you know what, Paris? It seems to be going a bit wild over there. I do wish we did fly over and cover it. I remember talking to Brandon at the time. Will we jump in and meet him at Paris Air Show? Do you know what? We've been so busy at the moment, but I do wish we did jump into that opportunity and go over and meet
some of the very big hitters there as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There were some very big hits, and you can imagine there have been a few deals there done. And yeah, like for me, I imagine that's how a lot of these deals do get done, with little meetings here and there. And yeah, it's another big step for. Do you know what I'll do actually for Hook Them is I might do a video on that Paris Air Show and anything that comes out of it, and give us a bit of an overview for everyone that's here.
Guys, I want everyone to show their appreciation to Reece. It felt like the last few weeks I have abandoned the eVTOL space and I've just been covering Rocket Lab exclusively for a while. I was doing that just to push into the space, but we didn't want to leave ye in the dark and just be jumping on eVTOL weekly. That's why I created the eVTOL fan club, where we have a little bit more fun. We get lots of guests on. But Reece has been the crutch to the Hustle Brothers in this space at the moment. You've been pumping out some nice videos on.
There's some major news. Like I literally had to. Yeah,
I couldn't really good video.
We did have to wait a little while from it, and at the earnings we were told it was coming out next week, and then that wasn't exactly it. And I can see where that short report sort of came from. I think there are maybe things said or promises made, and then they're not kept to. But like sort of the thing that we were always discussing was, is it a complete lie, or is it a bit of a white lie that you sort of tell your boss, oh yeah, that's done, and it's 70% done. That sort of vibe for it, because that's the vibe that I got from it. Like, oh yeah, that's done, and like really, you're thinking in the back of your head, oh, I need to go and finish that off.
Is it you get caught in the moment sometimes? Because I know, look, guys, you know how emotional I can be on some of these streams, and is it like you just start agreeing to everything, and then you realize how much you've agreed to, and you actually can't pull it off? Like, so you're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do that next year, and I'll make sure I have a stream for that, and then I'll create a new podcast here.
But now imagine if someone that was like promising you like 500 million, or I'm going to pay you £1 billion deal or something, and you're like, oh yeah, that'll 100% be done. That'll be, we finished that last week, 100%.
Yeah.
And you go back and you're just like, come on, we have to all finish this, and then just sometimes it's just not feasibly like doable. But that's what like the vibe that I'm getting from them. But yeah, the first flight, back to what we were talking about, unbelievable. And it did take me 2 takes. I went on to OBS, and the first take was just my head. Like, obviously very enthusiastic, but it was just my head for the entire flight. I don't know who would have enjoyed that.
You didn't record the actual flight, no?
I did, but I put my head, and it was like exactly in line with the plane, with the eVTOL, sorry.
Oh, that's cracking. You need to show me that, on the side. Do you know what? I often think, like, if anyone ever seen our, like, mistakes on some occasions, that'd be gold in itself.
Yeah.
That'd be bigger than the actual videos, because, guys, no matter how much some people try to say, like, videos, I actually prefer doing live streams, to be fair, because look, it's one take, it is what it is. You sort of show off. It's a place where you can sort of either peacock yourself and like, this is me, I know everything, or it's a place where you can be open and honest and show that, look, I'm not a specialist in everything. You do get a lot of guys, and that's what I never wanted people to believe we were, where they make out they know everything. And I think sometimes videos can make you disconnected to people a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you can cut it, can't you? You can cut exactly every bit every time that you went, or I think this. So yeah, this is on an hour and a half podcast or an hour and a half live stream. It's very difficult to be able to act or to just say certain things that you wanted to say. It's much more open forum.
Then back holding, Mel Gibson was right. Scott Williams, it's good to see the market analysts getting more and more noticed by larger players. You moved HOVR. I bought it that day. He said battery-only eVTOLs are senseless and gave themselves a long time to make a big one. I want to say well done, brother, on making money on HOVR, but there's no way we moved it. And do you know what? I don't want to move it. I finalized my eVTOL portfolio with ACHR, Joby, eVTOL, and HOVR. I try to DCA from now on. That is literally getting them all in the basket. Do you know what, mate? If this industry works out, you are going to the moon no matter what, because
you'll probably have your own eVTOL.
We were talking about that with Mike Berry on the weekend, and he believes within the next, by 2040, I think he said, there'll be players that
you could
let you own your own personal eVTOL. And that's what I thought was absolutely wild. Like, imagine owning your own one. Would you trust it? Would you want to fly it?
Oh, yeah, but flying it myself.
Yeah.
I imagine by that time, though, it'd be all fully autonomous. You just pick in a location, and it just brings you there. That's what my vision for that would be. Like, I don't imagine there's going to be a pilot or anything at that point.
Imagine Grandad flying it, brother.
Well, like... You can't even see as well. That's the worst part. Imagine trying to land an eVTOL and you can barely see.
Sometimes I'd be watching them back the tractor and you're like, my God. But no, we love them. Christopher.
Chris.
Reece, brother.
It's been too long. We need to... Yeah, we'll definitely need to catch up.
Yeah, no. Chris has been missing you an awful lot.
Same here. Actually, the same here.
Look, absolute respect for Chris. We're going on to today, Rocket Lab Daily, episode 20.
Absolutely killing it.
It's a hard push, but you know what? It's worth it.
Couldn't be two better men doing it.
Bag of holding. They don't need to worry about proving anything for 2 years. I liked. Yeah, I did the morning after the stream. I left comments and said you should dump Tesla from the Road to Glory and buy it. Do you know what? We need to get the Road to Glory going again.
Yeah, 100%.
It felt like we had too many fingers and too many pies. But look, now we have the likes of Dylan and Christopher, and like we do have some very good guests that could come on as well. So it does free us up a little bit to actually go head first into the Road to Glory. Guys, would you like that? Would you like to see us do a opening and closing bell show where, look, Reece wouldn't be able to be there for the opening bell. I could probably be there for an hour in the opening bell.
Definitely the closing one.
But the closing bell, do let us know. Would you like us to do an opening and closing bell show where we have our own joint portfolio and we'll grow it from $107 all the way to $107,000 live on air? You help us make the moves. We talk about absolutely any stock. Doesn't matter whether it's eVTOL, Rocket Lab, space, technology, could be Coca-Cola. But guys, do let me know. Keep in mind, ACHR put 85,000 shares on the market, and we are still holding above the share price they were executed for. Great show of strength for the company when they raised that 850 million. And what? They're sitting around 200 billion in
this was actually something we discussed in, was it December? It was an eVTOL stream in December, and it was the blasphemous word, the dilution to gain more shares. And we both discussed it, saying that we need to do it at a high price. You don't want to be doing it in the low 6s and 7s, and you need to do it from a point of strength rather than weakness. And then it's something they've done, and they've absolutely boosted that arsenal now to try and get us over the line. So for me, I think that's it. It's a great move. And the fact that the share price hasn't plummeted just goes to show there is a sign of strength there.
And like, that's the thing. I'm looking here. They're down 16% over 5 days. Over the month, they're down 23%. But look, over 6 months, they're still up 13.97%. Do you know what? This is exactly why we used to say, don't worry about... Do you know, Chris says it on Rocket Lab Daily all the time. Everyone likes to look at these daily little moves and where we're going daily, but you just have to zoom out and sometimes look at where we've came from. Over 6 months, up 13%. So already you're beating the S&P. Year to date, you're 4.62%. But look, we did have a massive run because over the last year, we're up 233%.
Exactly. And how much more liquid cash do we have now in the bank to try and get us over to that certification?
Now you need to think, guys, that's 23 years on the S&P. So sometimes we expect the moon now, but sometimes you look back and you're like,
yeah, you need to see the full picture, don't you? You can't be too zoomed in, because then you don't get the actual feel of it or actually see what is developing. And the other thing is that we all knew that they needed more cash to get over, because we've obviously got the certification coming up, the training, there'll be infrastructure, and then they wanted to develop that AI software. So there's a lot to be spending money on, and the more money, the better, really. It's going to be needed. It's going to be necessary.
Beta Technologies flew an airplane in Paris. Hey, get Lily Funds on. He is at the show in Paris. And do you know what? Let's reach out to Lily Funds and say, that would be appreciated. Info on the Paris show. How big on the news every night? Wondering how popular it is there. Yeah, Reece, 100%. I think that's a video of
that. That's this weekend's video done.
Feet up, just cup of tea ready. Yeah, WHP, if you're still around, hope you're well. WHP, brother. I need to address WHP. WHP gave us 2 super thankses over the last 2 days. That does not go unnoticed, mate. Thank you so much. And do you know what? It's so nice to see appreciation like that. We definitely don't expect it in either the lives or the videos. But yeah, it was very nice, and that kind of gesture, it did stand out and make me think, oh my God, we actually are doing something valuable for people, and that's what we have set out to do. But so thank you, brother. And we do need to meet up 100%. We will catch a beer sometime, I promise you. Ace Club. Chris, great to see you here. Hope you're doing excellent. Dylan, miss you. Let's catch a live launch at Wallops soon. Do you know what, Reece? I've been on. Do I go to Wallops? Don't I go to Wallops? It's one of those. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Do I dare say, do you think there will be any delays? Or
Chris got a little bit of hate on that's a touchy subject. Chris got a little bit of hate lately on maybe suggesting there could be a delay, and
I think Chris is like hit the nail on the head. Like,
yeah,
I don't think it's very similar to when we're here that some people just won't accept any negative views, even if you are like a bull overall. Just saying the opposite of what popular consensus says, people get quite upset. But I think everyone should be bearing that in mind, that there is a possibility. That'd be the only thing in my mind would be about booking the flights and everything, and then next thing you know, push back to November or December. You'd be sick.
We're sitting in Virginia, just twiddling our thumbs, just been like, do you know what? Why do we do this? But you know what? It would be a laugh with me.
Chris
would meet Dylan. Do you know what? It actually could be a good idea, but imagine the price of flights and everything and accommodation around then when they expect the launch to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you want to go top to toe in a bed, Chris. We're only small men, as you can see.
The 3 lads in the kayak.
No, it would be great to see. Laura, great to see you here. Grazie, guys. Do you know what? Thank you for the support. Laura, it's people like you that help us keep going when we see appreciation come in. Do you know what? We're at eVTOL Weekly 20. Can't wait for eVTOL Weekly 100, to be fair. We're going to be there. We've created a second podcast. This more or less talks about mine and Reece's thoughts, the news. But yeah, eVTOL Fan Club is where we bring on guests that more or less show us that we don't actually know an awful lot about eVTOLs. We get exposed very, very quickly, but I like it.
That's the best way to learn, though, isn't it? Learn off someone smarter than you.
100%.
That's got a lot more knowledge. By episode 100, who knows? Maybe we'll have a bit of knowledge that we can share with everyone.
You'll be doing engineering. I'll be owning my own personal eVTOL, trying to teach Grandad how to fly. That'd be all good. Hook them. I think a US company makes a 1-seat eVTOL. Have seen the video. Would you trust a 1-seater eVTOL?
Jesus, 1-seater. What's the point? I hope unless it's like driving autonomously.
And as well, 1-seater. I wouldn't buy a 1-seater car.
Yeah, exactly. Like a smart car, but even worse.
How could me and you go anywhere, mate? As a chunk, we'd need 2 of them.
Yeah.
Chris, you started baking all the pies. I think that's when I said we had the fingers in all the pies.
Yeah.
We started baking all the pies. Thank you, brother.
They're still in the oven.
Hook them. I also bought HOVR after your stream, I guess. It's the last one bought at June 60. To all these guys that bought HOVR then, you must be on cloud 9 at the moment. It's one of those, how far is it going to go? It could keep running. Like, at the moment, this has ran on a partnership deal for the propellers. It's ran on the executive order. Imagine when they partner with a big airline.
Yeah.
We're only sitting at 72 million market cap at the moment.
That's what I was going to say. It's a small market cap at the moment. So there's such big scope. And obviously the development over the next 2 or 3 years, it's a big one in the space in terms of the amount of interest that can be made on it.
What I actually want to do, guys, while we're here, you've seen a lot of things have changed around here. We have a new intro. You see the Hustle Brothers logo up the top. 2486 subscribe. I want to show you something. We have a goal to get us to 5,000 subscribers by September. I believe it still can be done. It's going to be pretty tight at the moment. But guys, please jump in, bang that subscribe button. Get us to 2,500 by the weekend anyway. Reece, this community keeps growing. Absolutely love it. It's the chat that makes these podcasts, to be fair. I just love having interaction back and forward like we're having at the moment.
I've missed it. Yeah, I've missed it.
And guys, if you want to ever call in, join us for the Sunday show. Doesn't matter whether you have 1 share, no shares, 1 million shares. Everyone's opinion matters, and that's what makes the Hustle Brothers a little bit different. You're not a special guest just because you have or you own an eVTOL company. You're a special guest whether you have any sort of knowledge. And if you're just an average retail investor, just like us, it's nice to call in, have a chat, see why you're invested in the company. If it doesn't help me, it could help Reece. If it doesn't help Reece, it could help me, and it could help absolutely everyone. So guys, please call in. Dylan, absolutely Chris. After my vacation with my family, I think I'd be ready for a vacation myself. Love the family, but gotta get together with the guys soon. Do you know what? That's a dedicated relationship there, because I don't know about you, but if I was married, say, and I was going on vacation, maybe it's not as bad for you, but if I just said I'm going on vacation on my own to Virginia, I think I would be eaten alive.
She would be thinking something. Yeah. Especially when she sees that it's been called off and you're still going.
Yeah. Me and Reece are on our way to see a rocket launch, and then, oh no, it's called off, and see me, Reece, Dylan, and Chris on the beer out somewhere. Yeah. It just looks dodgy, doesn't it? It looks planned. Did you ever talk about Archer settling on a 4-blade on the rear motors instead of 2-blade? Do you know what, Bag? Merck done a really big breakdown of that at the weekend. I don't want to give you misinformation, so why not hear it from
the horse's mouth?
Yeah, an aerospace engineer themselves, and jump back to that podcast. That's not me just putting it off, not answering the question. I'll be dead serious, mate. If I started explaining that now, you'll be waiting for me. Yeah, trust me, just jump back in. Bag, I saw a bit of a clip of an interview. Do you know what? Dylan actually sent me this through X. I saw a bit of a clip of an interview with Tom M talking about the 2 versus 4. Big talk in it, and credit to Mark coming on the stream over the weekend and explaining those technicals really well. And yeah, that's what we're saying. Jump across and have a look at that. Hayes Club, family first, Dylan. You have a beautiful one, my friend. Lots of launches, no rush, anytime. Chris, do you say the same about me? Do you say beautiful family when you miss Reece? The Bag, I missed that part. Thanks, I'll check it out. No problem, brother. I have 2 spare rooms and a hammock. I'm taking the hammock. I've never slept in a hammock, brother. I'm taking the hammock.
You can definitely have the hammock. That sounds like back then.
That's if it'll hold me.
That's a hell of an invitation from Chris. I think we do need to definitely organise that trip, though. It sounds like one to be remembered.
Bag, 1-seater for fun. 100% Dylan Rogers, Mark's a treasure. Guys, let me know. Do you want Mark on Sunday, or do you want a new guest? It's up to you. I keep saying Sunday. We streamed it on Sunday. It'll probably be Saturday. Let me know which day suits, actually. HOVR is Canadian. The executive order is why it's good. I think it's good for all eVTOL companies, apart from Vertical maybe. I actually want to jump into a little bit of vertical news. I touched on the. Oh, mate! Special
Here we
guest.
are.
Dylan, how we getting on, bro?
How's it going, Dylan?
Hey, Reece, Liam, my guys, how are you guys? Oh,
Doing
there.
very
I
well.
was sorry, I was big face Dylan. I haven't had me all up in the screen and stuff like that. I was like, nobody wants to see that. Hey, sorry. Yeah, I figured I'd pop in real quick. Just got home. Been listening to the show. Awesome job, guys. Liam, always great to see him. But Reece, so good to have you back, man. Like,
Oh, thank you very much, man.
so
Yeah, you've
good
done
to
a
see you.
stellar job. Stellar job since I've been away.
Oh, no, thank you. I just thought, I know you guys are gonna hop off and catch some Rocket Lab. I was just wondering if maybe I could just add in one or two things from
100%.
Archer over the last week, if that's okay.
Yep.
Just wanted to also okay, so I don't forget what I'm saying. The addition of the third launch edition partner.
Yep.
So just again remind the community that they did get the launch edition partner, industry, Ketahan, Nacion. So that's going to be Indonesia. I think it's actually interesting. There's been a few other companies, like a food service called Grab and such, that have kind of tried to tap into Indonesia or from Indonesia. So it's interesting to see that becoming an emerging market as well. And then just wanted to again throw to the community. Archer did have their third piloted flight. So hopefully get some coverage coming on that one soon. So we had another 12 to 13 minute flight, and that one took place on the 13th. So it'll be interesting to see what footage may come out. But it's kind of interesting because Archer kind of has so much going on. So, you get the news with them, Adam talking with Duffy, kind of the announcements around there. You get a just kind of a quick blip of the launch edition customer added on. And then next thing you know, they, have another another piloted flight that was tracked on the flight radar. And from the Archer side, haven't heard anything about it yet, much about it. So it'll be curious to see what comes out on their end. And if that was kind of the same setup, CTOL up and down. So they did reach a low altitude again. So it'll be interesting to see actually a little bit more flight data on that too.
This is why we love Dylan.
Just thinking that.
He has literally gave a rundown the week on Archer. Do you know what? Absolutely love it. When I jumped straight to the comments there. Hi Dylan. Was a vertical takeoff flight? Believe it. We don't know at the moment, but at the moment, it sounds like it's conventional.
Yeah.
What are you thinking, Dylan?
Based on the flight data on the altitude and speeds, I would say it mirrored pretty closely to the second piloted flight. It's about same duration and time, as well as the speed. So I've also been tracking the top speeds that they've been getting to. So it seems like each flight has maybe crept about 2 or 3 miles per hour quicker on the top speed range. So I'm pulling up the notes now, but I want to say it was in about the high 138s on speed. Nice. And for the graph, as it shows about 6 to 7 minutes in the flight, you see it get at about the same altitude that it shows on the graph for landing. But I think, unfortunately, we'll have to wait until a little bit more footage comes out to see if it was a VTOL landing. But my assumption would be a CTOL takeoff with a low pass to raise up again in the air with a CTOL landing would be my assumption on that one.
Yeah, and it kind of brings me back to what Mark was saying at the weekend. I don't think we have to worry too much. It's more about proving the concept of the flight. We'll worry about the little details as we get closer and closer to certification. But Bag jumps in and says, was the pilot inside it? And did it have 2 blades? No, it probably had 4 blades. Piloted can mean a person. You always find the caveats, mate. I believe the pilot was inside the aircraft. What do you think, Dylan?
For me, I'm gonna have to go on historical data here. Anything within 703AX that's been charted on flight data, all 3 flights have had a pilot. So for right now, I'd have to go with the thinking that there was a pilot on board. Again, I know we always try to bring the factual information, so we will confirm as a team, I'm sure, once we do know that. But yeah, I would have to assume based off prior testing that it would have been a piloted flight.
There was one thing that I did want to bring up, Dylan, and it was a comment you made earlier, and it was about Archer selling the 85 million shares.
Yeah.
What was your feeling on that?
Well, sorry to cut you off, Reece. Sorry. But just general feeling, I think initially I thought it was going to create a bigger dip. So to see it not crash below the 10, I think it's showing some strength inside either of the sector or confidence in, some retail backing as well. Based on SEC filings, we haven't had anybody put in anything over 5% since the dilution. So, kind of want to keep tracking maybe some more of the lower percentages, but high volume buys from institutions. So I think that might actually be another column on the spreadsheet to get going so we can start tracking, which institutions are grabbing these shares. Because I believe on Monday, it was around 120 million shares traded throughout the day and after hours. So if I'm just doing simple new to investment math, you put 85 million shares on the market. Well, if you had 120 traded within the day, it seems like there was appetite enough for people to buy it in around those 980s to the about 1010, 1015 mark that it's at through the day. And for me, I think, maybe even today I was thinking, I'm like, Archer at 10, is that like back when Archer was 7, I'm like, I should have loaded more type of situation. But right now, staying content with my Archer position, added a little bit to Joby. And yeah, so I guess to be more direct to you, Reece, I'm happy they did it because it had a good result. Now, it was, hindsight's always the 50-50. So had we gone down to $4 a share after that, I could be screaming at Archer saying, why'd you dilute? Why'd you dilute the shares? But it's cool to see the strength, 2 billion on the books now. So now again, it's for me to see what they're looking to do with that money, and maybe something to throw back to you recently. I'm still very curious. Something that's been in my head again on the Palantir and Archer partnership is why Palantir chose to partner with Archer. Because Archer I can see would want to partner with Palantir to scale manufacturing and such. But from what I believe I know, Palantir is also looking to kind of partner with Archer for some flight data to build out the ATC systems and such. But I guess it was in the last week or so, I just got thinking, why does Palantir want this data from Archer? Why are they not partnering with the Deltas and the United and the Southwest, who have all this true to life years of flight data on these routes? So kind of, still getting me curious on this Palantir partnership and maybe seeing what it could manifest into.
That's actually stumped me a bit.
It was the same here. That was I thought it was gonna be a slam dunk, that one, but I don't know if it is that they're thinking of this is going to be a massive technology in the next, let's say, 10 years, where there will be so many eVTOLs going around, so they are just going to be getting the data from that. I don't know if they're looking at long-term plans, because in the short term, next 2 years or so, we're not going to have. How many eVTOLs will we actually have out to get that data from? So they must be looking at this in a long-term span. But the funny thing about Delta, I'm not really sure why they wouldn't be going with a Delta airline.
Do you know what it is?
No, hey, Karen.
This is going completely off topic, but it has just come to my head there. So, Palantir have partnered with Archer, but why did they not partner with Joby?
Because they're vertically integrated. So I think they have to design their own software. I don't think they let people in.
Is that why though?
I
Could
think
they
so.
not? Could they not have brought Palantir in for that part? I know they're vertically integrated on all aspects, but do you think Palantir technology will be a bigger edge than
Well,
Joby's?
That's
I
not
know
like,
they
to be
have the
honest,
backing from Uber, and Uber could more or less.
this is the problem. Like, there's so many, like, it's like half a dozen of one and 6 of the other. Like, the fact that it's going to be so difficult to try and build your own AI software.
Yeah.
But if you can just use or leverage the software that Palantir use and then sort of tailor it for that system, it would be a lot easier than trying to develop your own one, like from scratch.
Well, and I'm curious too in thinking of that, where at the end of the day, maybe who owns that, I'll call it the data. So if it's Palantir's, like you say, they can have somebody like Joby or a HOVR, whoever it is, leverage that, the AI, I'll call it the ATC system, or, you know, whatever may come about of that. But in a hypothetical and an unknown of, if that was something that Archer had like an IP on, you know, are they able to maybe own the air networks in a different way? I mean, again, this is kind of down the rabbit hole of thinking. So just kind of, yeah, got to keep getting curious about the what's and the whys between that partnership and that connection. Absolutely.
I still find it hard to get my head around that whole Archer Palantir partnership. I am starting to understand it a little bit more. Is the sole reason of the partnership the fact that Palantir actually do want that flight data, and is that why they wanted to partner with them? It just
Because the other half of the story then is, or are they just a customer and they're paying them for a service? I think that's that would be an easier one, wouldn't it? If they're just paying them for a service, then
they got a lot of hate saying that before.
I know, yeah. I know.
You're about to jump into the van.
Well, and as you say, you know, so let's say Archer is more, like you say, kind of the customer shopping at the Walmart, like you say with that, Liam, and such.
Yeah.
Don't let this thought go away. So Archer would need them for the scaling. Oh, this is what it is. So with Palantir, from what I know of Palantir, they tend to run boot camps inside of companies before the contracts are done, or before the partnerships are made, or contracts signed. So again, some more DD. I need to write this down. I'm almost curious of maybe when Palantir entered Archer's doors and what Archer saw within Palantir, or vice versa, that really made them feel like that was going to accelerate them in that manufacturing states. And again, when they brought that boot camp in, I don't know if they brought it to the Georgia factory or the California factory, but I would assume that if they brought that boot camp in, you're trying to put that that software to work and see that that's making a difference on the bottom line for your company or the overall success. So yeah, it's still
I think it's been in
curious.
the pipeline a long time. Like, I made a video. Look, it's close to a year ago now, and it was analyzing a video where they were talking about Palantir and partnering with Palantir the previous September. So I believe it was around 2023. So has this been in the making for over 2 years? And did the boot camp occur back in 2023? And we've only just sort of got it over the line now. Do you know what, Dylan? This is why I love having you here, because you really do get me thinking.
I think for that one, because they are like a management company, aren't they? So I imagine they come in, and I think they manage the process at the beginning, sort of train you up. This is how we're going to use it. This is how all of the system will work. And then I think you just basically pay like a subscription service and keep it ticking over. And then obviously the benefit for them is they'll have the data because you're using their system. So I think that's how they can sort of harvest it. But I don't know if they're doing it all for just the data itself. But I think it's a great question, and I think we might have to try and see if we can go down that rabbit hole, maybe find the answer for the next rocket eVTOL weekly.
No, that sounds great.
Rocket Lab in the head,
no,
mate.
I agree with that.
Literally. It's because it's daily now. It's just there.
Hook them. Is it possible that Palantir archers because of Anduril? Do you know what? I think it's bigger than. I think their project is bigger than just thinking about the Anduril side and the defensive side. Maybe it was Anduril that introduced them, but I don't believe so. I believe Archer were talking to Palantir before Anduril even got involved. What's your thoughts on that, Dylan?
I'm gonna say I don't think that it necessarily hurts if maybe Dr. Karp found that Adam and Palmer Luckey were developing a relationship behind the doors, and this was something going on behind the scenes, and the partnerships weren't announced too far away from each other. It feels like they were about a 2-month maybe separation at the most in the announcement. I think I'm getting curious as well as, and this is going on for a little bit where, I like the new launch edition customer being added. I like that the plan is to sell Anduril, the aircraft, not worrying about the own and operations of it. But still, we need to be at a point where we have these aircraft to deliver to all these customers. So again, it was interesting to see the new launch edition customer added, as I was almost ready in my mind to hear that Archer was going to scrap the launch edition and almost have to cut UAE out of the loop, just again, solely based on delivery dates and how many midnights they have manufactured. And then, not to be political, but just in the political realm of Duffy and the whole administration on who wants to be first into the eVTOL game and have that on their soil to show off. So a thing for me is sticking point on archers, just so I can be a bull, but being honest, one is we know that Joby has Toyota for manufacturing, and for me, there's still a bit up in the air on the final deal that Stellantis and Archer were supposed to have. So I think Archer's doing great things, but I need them to be able to pump out the planes and deliver to the customers that they're continuing to bring on board. So as Archer does, they bite off a lot. So we'll see if they can chew it all.
And I do think it was a lot more transparent, and we could assess more with Stellantis when Carlos Tavares was there. That was one thing that I've sort of noticed recently, is there's very hard to find any sort of links between Archer and Stellantis that we can cover. I actually might do a deep dive this week. I need to get back into videos again. I might do a deep dive this week on the Archer Stellantis deal and see, can I uncover anything else that we don't know yet, and sort of like assess it in comparison to Joby Toyota, because we're starting to learn more and more about that Toyota deal with Joby, and Reece done a good video about hitting the 250 million tranche. It was just after we spoke to Brandon Ramson from Horizon. I just feel we're kind of left in the dark at the moment about Stellantis. What are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I am a bit in the dark. I am going to go back through my past SEC filing notes. I thought it was June 6th, but I'm going to check to see if it was July 6th. I have a date sticking out in my head that I thought shares were going to be sent over to Stellantis. So reading in the file, it's kind of like when Joby and Toyota were getting that final partnership. I mean, you still got to put in the SEC filings and do it by the books. So, if you're looking at those, you kind of realize that deal is coming a little bit ahead of when it's announced to the market. So I need to go back and look at some of those. I don't know if they're the Schedule 13Gs. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but yeah. So I want to go back, but I'll be honest. That is my biggest red flag with Archer, is not having clear indication on manufacturing partner, and it really doesn't seem like something that's being spoken about a lot from Team Archer.
Reece, you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think that is probably one of any Archer investors' biggest worries, especially after the short report that came out, and it sort of let us in behind the curtain maybe on how the actual manufacturing process is going. And unfortunately, I wish I could come here and tell everyone, like, don't worry about it and there's nothing to worry about, and they're exactly where they're saying they are. But I think they've proven time and time again that they're slightly behind where they say they are. But I don't think, sort of what we were saying before, is I think that they're nearly there. Like they might tell like a white lie, but I don't think it's just complete, we're not ready at all. And I guess jumping into the launch edition program, I do think until they do the full research and development and get the like flights and everything sorted out, I do think the launch edition program will just buy us time by selling and getting revenue in and just generating some revenue in the interim. And it means that we're not burning just pure cash on trying to get the pilots trained, try and get through the flight approvals, trying to get through any certification that we need for health and safety on the ground. There's a long process to get all of that through, and I don't want to be just burning cash the entire time. Whereas if we do have these launch editions where we can actually sell a few of the midnights to Indonesia and the like, that it would just generate a bit of cash for us to almost have in the kitty for the rainy day, because you don't want to just be burning cash the entire way through until the first flight.
Guys, I want you to jump into the chat now and show your absolute appreciation for Dylan jumping in. He's just been back from work. The information he's provided is absolutely unbelievable. Guys, show appreciation for Reece. You've all missed him. We've been getting comments left, right, and center, wondering how Reece is. Reece does do videos keeping us up to date on the whole eVTOL industry in between our streams. If you've missed it, we have a eVTOL fan club we're going running every weekend, where we let every guest call in. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, just call in, have a chat with us. But what I want to say, guys, is my name's Liam. I'm one of the Hustle Brothers here. I have my two other Hustle Brothers, Reece and Dylan. I'm going jumping on a Rocket Lab daily stream straight away after, so if you're not sick of listening to me, jump on that stream straight away. But guys, until eVTOL fan club at the weekend, I'll speak to you then.
See you then.
Take care, everybody.